Welcome movie lovers to another silent film video, and this one's a very special one because it's of Chaplin at Keystone. Now, for anyone that's been following my videos from I started, and for anyone that knows me, you'll know I'm a big Chaplin fan, and you're probably sick of hearing me talk about him. As you know, I have quite a wide Chaplin collection, which should be getting bigger soon, because I want to get the SNA films and the Mutual films on DVD or Blu-ray, and I also know that there's some steelbook of his Mutual films. But moving on, Chaplin at Keystone is a brilliant box set, and it took a lot of effort to restore all the films. There are 34 surviving Chaplin Keystone films. I went through about 24 of them, and I'm going to go through in this video a little bit about each one and go through basically all the films that Chaplin done, and you get to see how he grew as an actor and then eventually as a director at Keystone. And so, yes, in 1914, 34 films were made starring Chaplin. Some of them were directed by him, of course. So, yes, I think this is an essential for any Chaplin fan. And, yeah, the restoration's brilliant. And in total, there is 561 minutes on the disc, including the 34 shorts and the little special features on restoring the film and the effort that went into it. It's absolutely amazing what they can do today with technology. And it's great that people are wanting to restore old things like old film reels. It's just great. Another great thing is the booklet that accompanies the film, and I think it's great reading through these as you watch the films, because you get to understand the growth of Chaplin as an actor and a director, and the changes that begin forming whenever he starts to develop this tramp character, which at first, you know, it seems very basic, but eventually you can see that Chaplin is wanting to put more and more into the character, and as the Keystone comedies go on, they get more and more complex and more story, character and depth than they do in their first 1 to 2 readers. And in terms of price, this box set is great value. I picked it up at £14, but I reckon online or anywhere you'd probably get it for about 20, which is still a bargain. I just picked it up at £14. I just bought it because of the price, and I knew eventually that I'd get round to watching it, which I have, and now reviewing it. But yes, for 560 minutes of content for only £14 to £20, that's great value. And I haven't watched all the films in the box yet because I kind of want to savour them, and I think by seeing the whole Chaplin filmography I'll feel that I'll have nothing else to discover. I still haven't seen A Countess to Hong Kong, has Marlon Brando in it, which is directed by Charlie Chaplin, which is his last film, I believe. You'll look forward to watching that. But yes, the box set, 561 minutes for £20. That's value. And inside here, the booklet, and that's the discs. Don't mind that, that's in my player at the moment. That's the discs. Yes, this is going to be a mix of voiceover work and me talking here. So let's dig in to the Chaplin films that are in this Keystone box set. First up is Kid Auto Races at Venice. There really isn't anything special about this one except for the fact that it's the first time we see Chaplin appearing as the tramp character, and when it first takes its form. Although none of the mannerisms we come to know with the tramp, other than the walk which is here, you can tell he is yet to develop. This short film is basically some men trying to shoot a kid auto race, and a man, being Chaplin, keeps getting in the way. This is a photobombing at its earliest, ladies and gentlemen. It is funny at first, but really this is the whole 7 minutes. Nothing special, but Chaplin fans will be intrigued. Number 2, Between Showers. The premise of this one is a man who tries to steal an umbrella from a police officer who seems to be chatting up a woman. Later, Chaplin's character comes into it, and both he and the man with the stolen umbrella compete in a moment of chivalry for a woman who can't get across the road due to a huge puddle. This is known as a gag that pops up in cartoons and other comedies that we'll see, and it's interesting to think that this might be where it started. Like the banana slipping joke, this is one of those typical scenarios. A fairly interesting to watch sketch, but not that many laughs. However, there is some good physical humour to be seen. The third film is A Film Johnny. This one offers plenty of laughs, and that is because we get to see Chaplin showing his great athletic ability of slapstick and great use of timing. The tramp visits the cinema and becomes infatuated with the female character on the screen, who later he encounters when the film players are nearby. He gets mixed up with the filming, pestering the crew like he did in Kid Auto Races, but even more. This is a relatively enjoyable short, with some good gags and laughs. Tango Tangles. Like Between Showers, this one has men fighting over a woman. This is officially the oldest scenario of storytelling, and especially so in film. In retrospective, the film was nothing original to what we have seen, but the fight scenes involved are pretty funny and very energetic. Chaplin appears alongside Roscoe Arbuckle, known as Fatty Arbuckle, who was another famous silent comedian at the time. I am impressed with how fast Arbuckle can move considering his size. There's a very unusual moment when Chaplin gets into a brawl. That's most of the still short is brawling and fighting. But there's a scene when they're fighting and the guy grabs Chaplin and kisses him. Let me see that again. Okay. I didn't know what to make of it. Watch it for yourselves. His favourite pastime. Not much to say about this one. The Trump's favourite pastime is drinking at a tavern where we see him throwing a man out. Later he follows a young lady home and it turns out the husband is the man that he threw out earlier, which sets up conflict. Decent comedy, but not that many laughs. Caught in a Cabaret. This two-reeler has a great story structure and plenty of great gags. Chaplin plays a waiter at a cafe who impersonates an important and wealthy person as he pursues a young woman played by Maybelle Normand. Later in the film, when the woman and a group of her rich socialites hit the town and visit the cafe that Chaplin works at, he is soon caught out. From pie throwing to Chaplin fighting a brute of a man, this one has plenty of laughs and shows Chaplin's talent beginning to take form. This is a worthwhile Keystone comedy to watch. Caught in the Rain. The drunken tramp stays at a hotel where he encounters a man and his wife who seem to be having a feud. Later that night, Chaplin finds himself in a predicament when the man's wife suddenly walks into his room, sitting on his bed. Knowing how the husband would react to this situation, he goes into panic when the man comes looking for his wife. It is a mad panic and the tension really builds up. This is the first film directed by Chaplin, which definitely makes it worthwhile for any Chaplin fan to watch. The editing towards the end is very fast and crazy and frantic, and so much action is going on. Quite a funny Chaplin film, but his direction at this point is yet to improve. But this is worth watching if you like Chaplin. A Busy Day. Chaplin dresses as a woman who is interrupting an important event. Could this be the first crossdresser in cinema? Again, this is similar to the Kid Auto races at Venice. Only thing that really happens in this Chaplin is fighting with people, and all they seem to be doing is kicking each other. It gets a little repetitive, but somewhat funny. Not much special about this except we get to see Chaplin as a gal. In the booklet that came with the box set, apparently this is called one of the cruelest films in Keystone, and that would be too bold a statement to make. I'd started noticing that Tramp character is quite rough and aggressive in these earlier Keystone comedies, much more so than we see him in the 20s. We see him kicking an old man in the face, and the trunk being dropped onto him. Although I did find it quite funny seeing the Tramp not help the old man and light up a cigarette. What an asshole. The comedy is a little bit mean-spirited, and this really isn't one of the great Chaplin Keystone films. Nothing particularly special. The Face on the Barroom Floor. What is interesting to see in this one is Chaplin's direction. The film tells a story of multiple flashbacks, and the story structure seems to be very different from the other Keystone films he'd done. It seems a lot more intricate than some of the films at the time, and we're also seeing Chaplin start to craft his own style. Recreation. This is a split-reel film, which was all filmed in a day. This follows what Chaplin once said, that all he needs to make a good comedy is a policeman, a park, and a pretty woman. All that happens here basically is the tramp flirts with a woman, which soon's turned into him fighting with another man. The quality of this one is quite poor, despite the restoration. The Masquerade. This one is pretty funny. The plot is about two actors played by Chaplin and Fatty Arbuckle who fight with each other. Chaplin later disguises himself when running away as a woman. It's not long before he's being chatted up, and it makes me think, did Chaplin enjoy being a woman too much? Who knows? He really does look like a woman in this one. Overall, The Masquerade is one of the better Keystone comedies that Chaplin done, and it's worth a watch. His New Profession. The 25th Keystone Chaplin film is by far one of the best, and one of my favourites from the Keystone comedies. In this one-reeler, a young man played by Charles Parrott, who later becomes famous as Charlie Chase, has an uncle in a wheelchair. He soon gets the Tramp to take over for him, and that's when plenty of gags set up. Plenty of the gags definitely had me laughing, and my favourite was when he took the sign of an old man that said, "Help a cripple," in order to get some money for a drink in the bar. This is for sure a Keystone comedy I recommend for people looking to see Chaplin's earlier work. The Rounders. Here we see another team up with Roscoe Arbuckle, and this short involves two drunk men, being Arbuckle and Chaplin, who anger their wives as they make their way home after drinking. There isn't much that goes on in this one, but there are some funny gags to be seen. The New Janitor. This one is really worthwhile just for the last 4 to 5 minutes, which is honestly what really pays off. Chaplin's acting, speed and grace of movement is absolutely hilarious to watch. Chaplin plays janitor in this one, in a company where one of the workers tries to steal money from a vault. The janitor catches him in the act, and seeing how Chaplin disarms him and fights him is just terrific. He moves so elegantly and beats him with such ease. Now we are starting to see Chaplin get better as an actor. Dough and Dynamite. Chaplin's character works in a bakery, and according to the book that came with the box set, this film was inspired by the strikes going on at the time with real bakers. Chaplin provides a number of gags, and this one gets better on the second reel. Another worthwhile Keystone comedy. His musical career. This is definitely one of the best Keystone films that Chaplin appeared in, and what's really interesting is to think how it must have influenced Laurel and Hardy with their short film called The Music Box, which anyone out there who's seen it knows it's very, very funny. Seeing them try to haul a piano up, it must be 300 steps. But yes, this is where it obviously originated. So basically Chaplin plays a piano mover in a piano shop, and along with his co-worker they have to bring a new piano to a man called Mr. Rich. I thought that was pretty funny, that being his name. And they also have to repossess a piano of another man, and they end up getting this order mixed up. They try to give the piano to the man who was meant to get a piano repossessed, and they try to take the piano of Mr. Rich. So they just get it all wrong, and it's quite funny to see what happens. The best moment obviously is whenever they try to get the piano up the steps in this one, and then whenever Chaplin is struggling with the piano upstairs, and it is quite funny to see. So that's definitely one you should check out if you're looking to see some of Chaplin's older stuff. His Christing Places. This is one of his final films, and here we see Chaplin's character living a family life. This is one of the better two-reelers that is definitely worth checking out, and it gets better on the second reel for sure. We open up to seeing Chaplin and his wife arguing and fighting with one another, meanwhile the child is crying. The wife gives the baby to Chaplin, and he isn't exactly what I would call a good father. In a very quick shot we see him handing the baby a gun. It is interesting to see how his character treats the child, because when we see him and the kid in 1921, he seems like a very loving father. After getting into a fight later on when he is in a restaurant, he takes the coat of another man by mistake. Little did he know there was a note in the pocket which was written by a woman telling the man to meet her at their Christing place, meaning their meet-up spot. Chaplin's wife sees this and throws Chaplin out of the house in anger, and everything's just a big misunderstanding. Things just get worse as it goes along whenever Chaplin eventually bumps into this woman as he tells her about his wife, and little does he know that is the woman that wrote the note. Despite all of this, it ends with a happy note. There's plenty of gags in this one, and the solid story makes this one of the best films Chaplin done at Keystone. His prehistoric past. The setup is simple, and the Cramps character falls asleep at a park bench and enters a green land. In this green land we are set in prehistoric times where Chaplin gets up to all sorts of trouble and antics. The costumes, the acting and the fighting all in here make this a worthwhile comedy to watch. This is also the final film that Chaplin done at Keystone, and it is clear to say that he left making some great two-reelers towards the end of his career at Keystone. He would now go on to make even better films and soon become the legend that we all know and love today. So yeah, that's the Chaplin and Keystone box set. There was a few that I didn't talk about, such as Making a Living, Cruel Cruel Love, and Tilly's Punctured Romance, which were ones that I have seen before. Tilly's Punctured Romance is the first feature-length slapstick film to come out in Hollywood, so that is worth a watch. I can't remember much from it, but I definitely remember it being different, so that's definitely worth watching to see Chaplin's first feature-length appearance. Making a Living is whenever we first see him on screen altogether. This isn't in his cramp costume or character, so that's worth a watch too. It's only a one-reader, I believe. As you know, I said there's 34 films in this, and I have watched 21, I think. I didn't want to watch them all because I kind of want to savour them, but there's loads on here I still want to see, such as The Knockout, which I know is a film about him going into the ring, and that's something that we see pop up in City Lights, which is one of the highlights of that film. So overall, I'm very pleased with this Chaplin box set. As I said, there's some nice special features in there, and the booklet that accompanies it is definitely interesting to read as you watch all the films. On the Spider Figures, as I said, there's a little short documentary about restoring the film, which was good. The other one is Silent Traces, a little 12-minute documentary looking at some of the locations that Keystone filmed at. Not packed out with special figures, but I don't expect that much because there's already so much in this box set. 561 minutes in total over the 4 discs. So yes, that's the Chaplin Keystone box set. I would really recommend this one for more hardcore Chaplin fans or those who are looking to see more from him after seeing all his feature films and some of his shorts. I wouldn't recommend jumping ahead if you haven't seen any of Chaplin's work before to go ahead and watch this, but there are a few in there that you should check out on YouTube. And on that note, I noticed the quality on YouTube for loads of these Chaplin shorts are very, very poor, and the music isn't good either. Some of them didn't have music. This is the best way to watch these, definitely, for sure. I can't stress enough. I mean, the quality restoration really makes a difference in enjoying them, and definitely improvement from what I've seen on YouTube. And as you've seen in this video, sorry about the low quality, couldn't do anything about it. But yes, that's the Chaplin Keystone box set. Definitely recommend that one for collectors and Chaplin fans. So yeah, that's the review of that. We're coming to a closing of the Silent Film Marathon now. Tomorrow I'll be uploading my top 25 silent films, which will include some shorts as well. So that's it, everybody. If you got to the end of the video, if you watched it all, thanks, I appreciate that. If you've seen any of the films in this, be sure to comment, hit the subscribe button, give a thumbs up, always appreciated, and I'll see you tomorrow for the final video.